Welcome to the impromptu Nightcap on May 12th, 2024.
Happy Mother's Day!
Happy Mother's Day, everyone. That's female. And for those who are male and female who has a mother, everybody has a mother, obviously.
You're called a mother a lot.
Mother, yeah, it usually follows the second word. Happy Mother's Day to everyone, and happy Mothers to all the mothers out there on planet Earth and in heaven, and also those below. I'm your host, Joe Soro. Again, this was an impromptu show. I think the audience had called for it, therefore we must give the audience what they want. I believe that was a little gladiator quote, somewhat paraphrasing, but feed the mob and keep them distracted. At least that's what we're doing. And here we have just witnessed an interesting paradox in an NBA series. The first time I can remember, I think it's happened, but the first time I've seen all four games where the road team wins each game. So right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets are tied at 2, and the Denver Nuggets have evened it up as of tonight, winning tonight, which means they've now stolen back home court. So all they got to do is win 2 of the next 3 at home. I would personally like to see all road wins. I think that'd be kind of cool. I never thought I'd see it again after the 2019 World Series, but who knows? Maybe we might see it here the next week or so. But a lot of stuff has happened in this last few days, one being earlier today, the Atlanta Hawks win the lottery at a 3% clip, which I believe is like the fifth unlikeliest pick or unlikeliest team to get the first pick.
Here's another mother that's coming and joining us today.
Well, he's the second word. I'm the mother, and he's the second word. So Sean Grice, folks, has arrived as well. An impromptu show with Sean's impromptu appearance. I think it's just one of those nights where we just decided to say, you know what? I think we're going to talk tonight. I think we're going to talk, and we're going to talk probably a lot.
We're so shy and introverted.
I got a lot. We got a lot to say tonight. I have some comments on some of our colleagues, specifically Laker Tom. I think you can officially call this, and again, I have to give credit to where this particular phrase came from, which is Adam Shine on one of the programs on Sirius XM Radio. He would coin the term planet delusional. Well, folks, Laker Tom has been probably there in and out. It's official. He's there now all the time.
Oh, plus, I want to go ahead. There's some comments for you guys.
And folks, I want you all to understand this. When you smoke the reefer, at some point, this happens. So be prepared, be ready. And yes, there will be criticism. Yes, I do judge people. Yes, I am mean. And yes, I don't give a shit. So with that,
he's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, and believe me when I say this, because most of the time, people who say they don't give a shit actually do. You can see it in their face. Okay, this is not one of them.
Here's a telltale sign about that. People who say I could care less, don't. I couldn't care less is a big giveaway that they do. So Joe's correct.
I'm just trying to catch up on the comments. Again, I just wanted to say, catching up with the comments. I've got some comments for you guys to hear that I'm reading now that I'll say during the show as well.
Oh, really? Are they not on the chat here?
No, they're not on the chat. They're after.
Are they on Twitter?
No, they're on our YouTube previous episode.
Have they blocked them because they're too mean?
No.
We should have like a mean tweets.
This
Laker
one,
fast break.
That'll be down the road. Let's finish.
Okay, good.
Let's get the other stuff,
folks. For those of you listening and have those mean comments, keep them coming.
The D-Lo. Let's just say this, Joe. The D-Lo episode got the ire. If you want to look at it in advance, guys, the D-Lo episode got the ire of a lot of our fan base.
Some of our regulars, or some of those who lurk.
Regulars and
lurkers.
Good,
and lurkers.
Good. So, folks, you just got teased something pretty good. I wasn't an impromptu tease that's coming up here later on the show. But in the meantime, we've got it is a Lakers show. I mean, I think we don't want to forget that. It is a Lakers show called The Lakers Fast Break. So let's start with the current status of the Lakers organization and where they're going to go here in the next month or so. Right now.
Well, that's a great show. Thanks for joining us. All right.
Yeah, that would, I've always had this thought that if I ever had my own talk show, but I'd need the production value to do this. I couldn't do this on here yet. But in those parts in the movie where one little thing creates the movie, but if he had just said no, the movie would have ended. So I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to get. You're gonna have to talk to Warner Brothers and all those guys to get those clips. That's why I can't do it. And then what would happen is I would dub it where the guy says no, and then credits come down. But that's for the future, anyways. The Lakers right now are interviewing several coaches. There's been some.
And JJ Redick.
JJ Redick is the flavor of the week right now. There really isn't anyone.
Well, you said coaches.
I saw that, Blue. I
just needed to preface it. He's never been a coach before at any level.
Mm-hmm. But it's the flavor. It's the flavor, right? It's the Hollywood look. The guy that tells it like it is. Okay, folks, there's a difference between someone who tells it like it is and tells it like it is and is wrong. There's a difference. If you tell it like it is and you're right, that's different than if you're wrong. And I'm going to keep harping on this, folks. Insulting Jerry West, insulting 90s players isn't very smart, especially for a former NBA veteran, guy that played a long time. And I'm trying to understand how someone like JJ Redick would have played against someone like David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Scottie Pippen.
Oh, his insult of Larry Bird.
How about Glenn Robinson?
His slander of Larry Bird takes the cake.
I mean, Larry Bird, come on. It's easy to criticize these guys, not because Larry Bird can't move anymore, right? But I would actually love to see a shooting competition and Larry bust them in the mouth. And that would be great. But we're never going to see it. It's unfortunate, but it's easy to talk now. And those are the things that will tell you a lot about those people. Now, is he saying that because he means it? That's bad. Is he saying it because he's trying to get the attention? That's even worse, because that's just fluff. That's just fluff. That means you're faking it. And do you want that kind of guy leading a team to a championship? No, I'm not a big fan of Steve Kerr. He tends to open his mouth a little bit too much for my taste, but at the end of the day, he still knows how to coach. And that's something we haven't seen JJ Redick do. So we have to assume.
He's never had a terrible basketball take. You might disagree about it, but he's never had a terrible basketball take. Yeah.
According to him?
No, just in general.
So you like JJ Redick's take on basketball?
I was talking about Steve Kerr.
Oh, Steve Kerr. Yeah. Steve Kerr's problem is off the court. In terms yes. No, very, very true. But with that, we're gonna
JJ Redick, you kissed my ass.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask some of my colleagues here what this is starting to look like. I don't believe what's out there until I actually see what's going on. But then at the same time, a lot of times the Lakers have confirmed things like this eventually. So do you guys really believe, and I'm going to ask Gerald the first question here since he was the podfather creator here for this particular show tonight, like he always is. Do you think that this rumor of him being kind of the lead, and we'll get to Laker Tom on this next, do you think that this is legit, or is it just something so people can get clicks on their stupid sites?
It's legit, Joe, whether we like it or not, and we don't exactly like it. But the thing is, you guys asked me out there, are we excited about any of the coaching candidates? So let's run this down. You've got unproven NBA assistants, the assistants who've been just coaching at the assistant level, but they're not, none of them with the head coaching experience you want, like Adelman, like Nori, like, some of those guys that are out there. They're going to be interviewing a ton of those. You're going to hear a lot of these names pop up as far as Frank said, one of the assistant coaches from Dallas Mavericks. Oh yeah, that's great. So we get another Darvin Ham, unproven head coach there. Or we could go to the retreads like Borrego, or we could go to more retreads that are out there. And Kenny Atkinson couldn't get you where the other teams that they were coaching needed to go. Or you have a podcaster. So you tell me, how excited should I be, Joe, about this coaching search? To me, again, as I said on playback, and you heard me, Joe, we all wanted Ham gone. I get that. But the problem is, whatever you think of Budenholzer or whatever, Phoenix at least had a plan. Okay, we're going to fire Vogel one day, but we're already setting our sights and we're already dialing the phone for Budenholzer's agent because that's exactly who we want. We have a plan in place. Whether it's good or not, it's up to you to decide. But at least they had a plan. Our organization, the Lakers, Joe, have absolutely no clue on what's going on. And in that kind of environment where you've got all these, unproven assistants who've not coached at the head coach level, retreads who are not going to get anyone excited, and LeBron and AD will probably fold over on as far as just them, dismissing them by the halfway point in the season, or you've got the podcaster that's buddy with Braun already. That gets no one excited. That should get no one excited. It certainly doesn't get me excited, Joe. I'm telling you right now, but that's unfortunately in this environment where there's no clear-cut candidates, Joe, guess who is rising to the top? None other than Laker Tom's buddy, who at Laker Tom on Twitter said it's reminding, he's warming up to the idea, Laker Tom is, of JJ Redick, and how he's saying that he envisions him, and it's reminding him of how Dr. Buss took a chance on a young Pat Riley.
So speaking of something warm.
So he's already comparing him to Pat Riley.
Speaking of something warm.
I got a headache.
I will use an analogy here. This is like if you bought a brand new Spider off the Ferrari lot, Gerald, and you're driving it down the Pacific Coast Highway, and a 4-pound piece of Pelican shit goes through the top down and lands on the console. And now you've got Pelican shit on your brand new Spider. That's what this coaching search is like.
Well, let me just say this, and I'll let you go back to you, my friend. I apologize for interrupting. Problem Child says, "Yeah, Gerald, but if we would have hired someone right away, we would have been saying that they didn't do their due diligence. They're doing their due diligence now because they don't have a clue. They haven't had a clue for weeks or months. It's just evident, Joe, that this is not a good or well-run organization at the very top.
We discussed that this was not supposed to be a quick. The only way it would have been a quick decision if they were already searching for a new coach in January. And if you go back to some of our shows, we had discussed that way before even the playoffs started. They would have had to have started those due diligences. Is that a word? Due diligences?
Mm-hmm.
The due diligence on that would have to be executed because there isn't enough time to interview guys or figure something out in such a short amount of time, unless they did what Phoenix did and just go hire the next big name, which we didn't want that.
I'm trying to mute you, Sean, when you're typing and when you're not. I'm like trying to guess when you're typing and you're not. So apologies on that one. So.
It's obviously they weren't able to do that because they probably were waiting to see if the Lakers could make a run, and then they would keep Darvin Ham. That if anybody with a brain probably should have known that wasn't going to happen, which we found out that it didn't. The next steps right now, and this is starting to become a Lonzo Ball type situation, is these guys are not really working. They're paying attention to what's out there in Twitter land and TV. They're not doing any due diligence where it matters. And even if they did, it would probably come out. It would probably come out, or they'd get found. And then now they have to explain that. They couldn't go look for someone in January or do some kind of premeditated type situation, discussion with whomever without probably somebody leaking that out, because I don't know if anybody respects the Lakers that much. They probably want to leak it out to get their clicks. So it's a difficult process right now, and it's more difficult because you don't have smart people in terms of the operations of basketball doing this. You wouldn't go through 6 coaches in 12 years if you knew what the hell you were doing. It's just what it is. And LeBron James also plays a factor in this because he's not a very easy player to coach. And I'm not just laying this all on LeBron. There's plenty of players of his ilk in terms of stars that have been difficult to coach. Kobe's been a difficult one. Shaq has been difficult. A lot of guys have been difficult. Almost everybody is difficult. However, I got into a little tiff with Sean Harder on this, and he thought maybe I was flipping or I should say, I'm not saying he said these words, but it sounded like he was accusing me of moving the goalposts. So from 1996, folks, to 2011, I don't count interim coaches. I don't count coaches that had to quit due to health reasons. Okay. Kobe only had 2 full-time coaches, Del Harris and Phil Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Rudy Tomjanovich, if you guys ever saw Rudy Tomjanovich toward that last 2-3 years before he actually became the the LA Laker coach, he looked dead. He looked like he was sick. He was sick. He actually was sick. I don't know if he had some kind of cancer or what, but he was sick. And he was sick. He looked sick. So putting him in after what happened with the Shaq, Phil, first dynasty situation, it didn't last, okay? Then Frank Hamlin finished off the season. I don't count that as, there was an issue with Kobe and the coach. No, that was just a guy that wasn't healthy enough to coach and didn't have his heart in it. And then Frank Hamlin was just covering the season, okay? So from 1996, folks, 1996 to 2011, Kobe had 2 coaches. LeBron, unfortunately, seems to have a coach every other year, every 2 years. And the one guy that it's been documented that he didn't get fired, could have been number 10. I think he's on 9 now. So where I'm going at with this is the Lakers have to not only find the right coach, but they need to bring LeBron in, sit them with the guy that they want, and say, LeBron, do you have enough in your 22nd season and probably your 23rd? Do you have enough to take his ribbing if you screw up? Now, is LeBron going to just give the company line at that point and change his mind later? Probably. But I'd be like, you want to win another championship? You want to have any shot at winning another championship?
It's boot camp time.
You better go out guns a-blazing in the next 2 years. You better be able to eat it and play like you've been playing, minus the complaining after a non-call. Otherwise, you ain't going to win jack squat, and you're going to end up with 4 championships in 23 seasons, which is not a good percentage. Not when you've been to the finals 10 times. And some of those finals you should have won. If he was sitting with 6 titles, I'd be like, look, man, he's going to play his next couple of years and call it a career. But he needs to win more than 4. Yes, it's unfair. He's LeBron James. He's telling us he's the greatest ever. You can't win 4 titles in 23 seasons. It's not enough. Shaq, just so you guys know, I'm not just picking on LeBron. Shaq would have been the greatest center in NBA history if he gave a damn. And he would have won more MVPs. And I'm getting on this because there's been some MVP discussions as well, even during the show tonight on playback.
Frank was you
Frank
had a
thinks that he should not have won 4 in a row. I say he does. He only missed 10 games in his 3 MVP campaigns.
Well, you were saying he should have won 4 in a row.
He should have won last year.
He deserved 1.
He was out of all the last 4 seasons, he was more of an MVP last year than he was in those 3 seasons. And it proved correct, guys. What happened? He went on to win a championship and a finals MVP. Come on, guys. Give me something here. Give me something. If you're going to say no, you got to bring some facts and some logic to it. So there's a lot of stuff cooking here. A lot of stuff, a lot of good material if you're just looking for material to talk about. But the worry for Laker fans like myself, like Gerald, like Sean, and like all of you who are listening, is it going to mean that they're going to pick the right coach, and is LeBron going to buy in? If LeBron doesn't buy in, it doesn't matter who they get. They could get Pat Riley in his prime. If LeBron doesn't buy in, it's toast for the next 2 years. It's going to be 7 seeds and hoping you don't play Denver for the next 2 years. And that's the reality of that. So, Sean, I want to ask you this. I don't know if this is something that we know. If you had a choice, knowing what you know right now and knowing that you pay attention to the ins and outs of the NBA in general, who do you really think would be the right coach? It doesn't have to be a specific name. It's got to be like, well, is it this guy over here because you can see him enhancing Anthony Davis's game, something like that maybe we don't know. Maybe I don't even know. Like, do you have somebody out there that isn't the sparkles that's going on right now, like a JJ Redick? Do you know someone out there that would probably work best if they were to find that person?
No, not this year. Not this year. I think you're either looking at a retread or somebody who is in the same as far as
Somebody's in the same boat that Darvin Ham
Ham
was 2
was
years
in.
ago.
Yeah, it's correct. Although that person might have had a little better NBA career. Like, they weren't necessarily a grinder. They were maybe a pretty good role player, so to speak. But other than that, no, there's nobody grizzled enough in this game to, and I say that, but there is one name out there, but the Lakers would never hire him. They would never hire him, but he would be able to instantly have cachet in a locker room, and he would hold guys accountable. Like, even if you were in the sundown of your defense, like LeBron is, this guy would hold you accountable because he held himself accountable and other people on the court when he played, but the Lakers would never hire him.
Yeah, Kenny Atkinson, his name. I mean, again, he's a good coach, but the
Kenny
problem is,
Atkinson is a great coach. He could
if you have
scheme.
if you have a team with less talent, because he can get that team to overachieve.
He can scheme a below average team into playing
But
above.
once he got stars,
The Stars usurped his influence, definitely, because we tell the story. He had the stats with him when KD, Kenny, you're not playing DeAndre Jordan enough. He's my buddy, and he's been complaining that he's not getting enough playing time. And Kenny Atkinson actually literally
right
got
there to Wheezy said there was not any Kobe jersey there. Look right below Anthony Davis.
Yeah, it's right there. I could see it. Anyway, he had all the advanced stats. Yeah, you see these stats, KD. You see him, like, the defense is better with Jared Allen on the court, and the offense is better with Jared Allen on the court. And Kyrie performs better with Jared Allen than he does DeAndre Jordan. But you're buddies, right? So I got to play him more than 10 minutes a game. You want me to play him more than Jared Allen, who's potentially a defensive player of the year candidate and is sprouting into a pretty good rim and roll, duck in offensive player. I mean, nothing to write home about, but he can hold his own down there. But you want to play DeAndre Jordan, who's now sitting on the bench laughing it up with all the other has-beens on the Nuggets bench. So, yeah, they listened to KD. They fired Kenny Atkinson. And who did they hire after Kenny, Gerald? Not the interim. Who did they hire after him? Steve Nash.
Yeah, that's true. That worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah, how did that work out? Did Steve Nash... And Steve Nash is a Hall of Fame basketball player, Joe. He's a Hall of Fame basketball player. Has more MVPs than Kevin Durant does. Fact. Has more MVPs than KD. And KD thought he knew more about basketball than Steve Nash.
I thought that started more with Kyrie too, or at least he added to the fuel, added to the fire, I should say.
Kyrie's
he's
kind of
saying he doesn't. That this team doesn't really need a coach. That was the ultimate disrespect to Steve Nash, and Steve Nash is such a nice guy. He didn't really retort to that, and I don't know. I still don't know why Steve Nash was picked to coach. Most great players aren't really good coaches. I think the only coach that I can remember, and it was still a short amount of time, that I thought was good was Larry Bird. Larry Bird is, in my NBA viewing life, as a coherent, understanding adult, is the best great player that's ever coached. And he even knew his window was only those 3 years that he was coaching. And he was this close to winning in '98. What was that?
I think, well, too easy is the wrong. I mean, Rondo, I would say Rondo would be your head and shoulders if he was available as a top or a head coaching. The thing is, he's got the legal issues that are that's going to keep him back. And then Joe,
I actually don't think the legal issues are a problem.
You think
it is in the state he was caught doing it in, Joe. He was caught in Indiana with weapons and pot. That's a problem in Indiana.
I find the irony there hilarious, by the way.
Did he have a domestic violence issue as well? He might have.
Yes.
He did. Yeah, but I think that was kind of swept under the rug, Gerald.
But the temperament issues, Joe has a thing with, again, would he be able to keep his temper in dealing with today's modern NBA players?
He would need a Tim Duncan.
I think he would be good. I agree with you.
He would be good. But he would either need a Pat Riley backing him up as the decision maker, or a star player like Tim Duncan or a Dirk Nowitzki that you could berate in practice and everyone has to fall in line. It's similar to Tom Brady as well. Tom Brady, what made Tom Brady and Tim Duncan and Dirk Nowitzki great, not besides their talent, is you
could criticize them. They wouldn't go cry in a corner,
correct,
or yell,
or trade this guy or get rid of this guy. Yes,
yeah, exactly.
Yes, if it was Shaq in a second, he wants you out. Kobe, I think could put up with it a little bit, but I think I'm not trying to say this to be on Kobe's side, but I really believe that Kobe being that guy, because if you saw an interview with Phil Jackson in 1996, when they asked him about high school players coming to the NBA straight, he was lethal in his answer. He's like, no, they don't. This is a man's game. They don't belong in the NBA right this young. Like, he already had that. Now, Phil isn't dumb either. He knew he needed Kobe to win, but it was Phil Jackson being the mind guy that he is. Kobe was just he was very, very confident in doing things his way, and Phil wanted him to do it everybody else's way. And that's just something that didn't click until Kobe did get humbled, missing the playoffs in 2005, understanding that there's not a lot of people that can coach him, and he said, "Please bring Phil back. I'll eat stuff from him."
When they blew the 3-1 series against the Suns, and he asked Steve Nash, "How do you get people to listen to you on the court?" That kind of changed the landscape for him. Mm-hmm. He realized he needed to be a better teammate.
How do you respect? And this is a true statement. How does a player making $60 million a year respect a coach who's making $7 million? And on top of that, how do you respect a coach who is disposable instead of you? The ego, you have to understand, folks, the most privileged people on the planet are athletes. You know why? Because a lot of these guys show themselves around 12, 13, and then they start seeing and all the rest of their lives, should they make it to the NBA and have a career, they are going to have everything told about them in a positive way, and they need them, and we're going to give you this, and it's only going to start getting worse now with the NIL. Not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying you're going to continue. See, the college system was a little bit of the humbleness before you get to the pros. Now you're going to get paid millions of dollars, and watch the first victim of this thing. His name is Caleb Williams, going to be playing for the Chicago Bears. Remember what I said here. It's May 12th, 2024. Watch what happened to Caleb Williams because of that. So
thank you, Peter, by the way, for subscribing.
Thank you, Peter, for subscribing.
Closing in on 1,600, Joe.
Good deal. Love it. It's hard to take a child at 12 and 13, tell him or her that they're great at everything, and then all of a sudden, 10 years later, oh no, you're not great at everything. How the heck? That's all they've known. How is a coach who's making 1/10 of what that person's making? Why would they listen to them? It takes a certain personality. It takes a certain upbringing to probably not do that. More often than not, they do. So, and then again, I'm not going to just side with the coaches on this. There are some stubborn ass coaches too in the NBA.
Some people are about the coin. I'm about the quan.
Hey, I've had money and I've had no money. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Okay, here's my experience. I don't have $1 billion or $1 million, but I can buy
But
really.
Joe, let me ask you something. Why do you think the majority of the audience responded to Rod Tidwell more so than Jerry Maguire? Because Jerry was about the coin. Rod was about the quan. Why do you think the audience response was better towards Rod Tidwell?
That's a great question.
Jerry Maguire.
So why is that? Explain what the quad is.
The quan?
The quan, sorry.
Yeah, the quan. Yeah. So Jerry and Rod are in the locker room, and Rod's just gotten out of the shower, and Jerry's frustrated because he's playing for the Arizona Cardinals, and they've just come in with a pretty decent offer, and Rod turns it down. And Jerry says, "I'm about the coin, Rod. That's what I'm about." And then Rod turns around and says, "Everyone's about the coin. I'm about the quan." Do you know what the quan is, Jerry? The quan is this. It's about an attitude. It's about an attitude. It's more than feeding your ego with a dollar sign, Joe. That's what the quan is. It's about self-worth over money. That's what the quan is about. And that's what we need in a head coach, is somebody who's got enough self-worth not to give a shit that LeBron makes over 60 million, AD makes over 40, Rui makes 17. Like, forget about the fucking money. Are you performing at your absolute best peak summit performance?
So with that, it only enhances why everyone must understand what the ultimate goal is here. Does Jeannie and Rob really want to win a championship? Does LeBron really want to win a championship? And will they allow the coach that they hire to last after LeBron's gone? That's how you have to think about it. You got to get a coach that's going to be here and even after LeBron's gone. Can you do that? Can you find that right guy? Because if you don't, you're just going to keep doing this over and over again. And my jadedness says, does it really matter if they get this right, guys? We're still going to be here. We're still going to watch. We're still going to talk about it. So are they really feeling pressured? Is Jeannie and Rob really going to care whether they're getting criticized by us, by the fans? Though, if that answer is no, then it doesn't really matter who they get. Because guess what? In 2 years, they fire this next coach. LeBron retires, and now there's more discussion about the team. we're wondering this and wondering that, and who they're going to get. Are they going to hire Rondo now that he's dealt with his legal issues and he's ready to coach? They've dealt with all this stuff. So there's really no negative, no matter what they do. The league is, and the new TV contracts, once they come. Oh, by the way, I'm, shout out to Silver, who's had a really bad 4 years. By the way, since COVID, he has just been. But if you get back NBC, you're starting to get back to the peak again.
We need John Tesh back in the NBA.
I heard. We need that feel. We need. What are they? When we talk about the Lakers,
Gerald, do you remember the name of the song?
Which one?
By John Tesh.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
What's the name of it?
What's the name of it?
Oh, I have no idea.
Round Ball Rock.
Maybe it's better left unsaid. Let's just put it that way.
Here's a trivia question, Gerald.
By the way, Pork Rinds has a comment for you coming up. But
Sure.
Go ahead.
So between 1996 and 1998, the Chicago Bulls played the same intro, every
From
home
Alan
game.
Parsons Project.
Oh, do you remember the name of the song, Gerald?
I do not, but I could. It's do 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 do. It's I know it's the.
I cannot.
It was the Eye in the Sky instrumental.
Is it the Eye in the Sky?
It is. It was the instrumental version of it, though.
Oh, okay. The Eye in the Sky is the Eye in the Sky.
The sky, yeah. It's the instrumental.
Don't Answer Me is my favorite Alan Parsons.
Yes,
I cannot think of anything other than Austin Powers when I hear Alan Parsons Project.
So before we get off too much, our entire audience leaves. Let me go ahead with Pork Rinds.
Oh man,
at Sean Grice. He made so much money prior to taking less for one season that he could afford to do that. I wouldn't have taken less, and neither would you.
Don't answer for me. You don't know what I would do in that situation. I'm not going to respond to you in what you would do. Quite frankly. You don't know me. You don't know me from Adam, Pork Rinds, and I don't know you from Adam. So I mean, to say that is like, it's
a lot of assumptions there, no, Pork Rinds?
I mean, Tim Duncan took less to keep Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker happy. Do you want to go down the list, Pork Rinds? Patrick Mahomes just signed a max contract for the Chiefs. 6 months later, he renegotiated his deal so they could keep guys and bring guys in.
I will say, I'm not defending Pork Rinds. I'm just saying that most likely, if we're betting, and I live in Vegas, we're most likely we're going to bet LeBron does not take the hometown discount.
Gerald, there was no salary cap in the NHL. Do you know how much money Wayne Gretzky could have asked for?
Oh, yeah.
From the Edmonton Oilers? I mean, he didn't. He knew that he wanted to keep winning and keep the team together. Wayne Gretzky could have made more money than anybody on the planet, and Edmonton and LA would have given it to him. But so don't assume just because somebody takes the money and they run with it that everybody else will do the same. I just don't like getting
into that Kobe last contract conversation. It's just not a good one to have. I just don't know. Because whatever side of the fence you are on with Kobe on that last contract, it didn't work out. Let's just put it
didn't.
This way.
The one before that really did.
For the team,
yes. Say. After the second championship, I think he signed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gerald, but I think it was 3 for $84. That was a really good deal. And then Pau signed, I think, 3 for $57.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but it's that last, great employee contract.
He
is
can't.
So divisive amongst Lakers fans and NBA fans on whether or not he should have taken it. Should he have asked for a discount? Or should he just again? It's just too many semantics on it, and every time you go down that road, one side of it gets pissed off at the other.
Yeah, and I mean, the context is important too. We're talking about different eras and different sports too. I mean, that needs to be taken into consideration. But the fact is that the NBA salary cap is so we've talked about it, Gerald, and me and Joe have gone into it at length with others on here and privately. The NBA really has a hard cap. It's really a hard cap disguised as a soft cap. But you can't renegotiate deals in the NBA like you can in baseball or football. Hockey and basketball are very restrictive when it comes to the salary cap and how much money you can make. Now, the big difference is that in another sport, there's something called an AAV, an average annual value or salary. And that means that if somebody signs a 5-year, $50 million deal, they make $10 million each year. There's no annual rise. In the NBA, for some reason, there's a stupid accounting rule that a salary goes up 14.5% or it goes up 12.6%, and you have to work within those means, and it's very restrictive. If you sign LeBron here to that max contract, he gets it all. There's no
Well,
renegotiating. You can't front load it. You can't back load it. You used to be able to do that in the NBA, as you know, Gerald.
I know,
You
but
could
let's get into the comments that were made on the D'Lo video that we made the other day before we get into the draft and the playoffs, guys. And listen to this, Sean, because it comes back to you. It's from BDA Pink. And thank you, BDA Pink. You're a longtime viewer. You don't
Yeah.
watch us live, you watch us after the fact, but it's up there on the D'Lo video now. It's in the comments that were made after the show aired. Sean, you may have given the dumbest take ever on here. I'm paraphrasing what he said. D'Lo helped the team win games. Losing D'Lo for nothing would be a failure. Just say you don't like D'Lo, bro. You're going to rely on Gabe, who had one lucky playoff run. You are replacing D'Lo if he walks. Then you have to trade Rui or Vando for another guard, which creates a hole in the wing. Guys, I'd rather pay LeBron and D'Lo $70 million than per year than LeBron and an MLE dude combining for 62, because even he thinks that it's a given that LeBron would ask for the max.
Can you repeat the first part?
Hold on. You absolutely need D'Lo for trade purposes, like what Joe is saying, for asset management 101. You all literally forgot Lakers will miss the playoffs without him. You're all getting that production with an MLE contract, and you still have other holes in the roster. The first part was Sean may have given the dumbest take ever on here. D'Lo helped the team win games. Losing D'Lo for nothing would be a failure. Just say you don't like D'Lo, bro. You're going to rely on Gabe, who had one lucky playoff run. And yeah, so there you go.
Okay, all right. May I respond?
Yeah, I just wanted to go for it, man.
He didn't say what the take was. He just said it was the dumbest take, and then he went into a whole spiel of, and it may have been a dumb take to him, but I just want to understand what the dumb part was. He said, "Just admit you don't like D'Lo." So he started his
I think the take
premise with the conclusion.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's because that you thought it would be better for D'Lo to walk.
Well, he can walk.
Organization.
Yeah, he can walk. Yeah,
He can walk. But I think you hinted or intimated that you thought it was better for the organization if he did walk. Is that not correct?
Yeah, that's probably true.
Okay.
No doubt about it. I mean, if that's dumb, that's dumb. That's my perception. I mean, did D'Lo help the Lakers defeat the Memphis Grizzlies, BDA? I would say, if you look at it, AD, LeBron, Rui, Austin Reeves, Jared Vanderbilt's defense on John Morant. Then you want to put D'Lo there? So how many guys did I just mention there, Gerald? About 5?
Mm-hmm.
So he's the 6th most important Laker. Let's go to the semifinals against Golden State. So AD, LeBron, Jared Vanderbilt's defense on Steph, Rui, Austin Reeves in there, and then I'd slot D'Lo again right there. So you're the sixth most important Laker in a 6-game series. And let's go on to Denver, Gerald. How did you feel D'Lo performed against Denver, Gerald? Because you didn't have glowing reviews.
Well, this
last
latest
year.
Denver series, not the Western Conference Finals last year. This year, it was better than last year's, but it was still only 2 out of 5 games. You got the D'Lo that you wanted.
And we got swept out of the Western Conference Finals
Last year. Last year, he gave us nothing. They schemed him off the floor because he was so bad defensively. This time around, defensively or otherwise, offensively, he only gave you 2 out of the 5 games. Somebody was saying, oh, yeah, he averaged 17 points. That's because the 2 games he did play well in, he got over 20 points. The other 3 games, he just didn't give you enough for what you need to get. So,
how far has, other than last year, Gerald, how far has D'Lo gone on any team in the playoffs?
But see, the thing is with D'Lo, though,
please answer the question. Please answer the question.
I'm trying to answer, but I'm trying to answer the way I'm getting too easy too. But when it comes to D'Lo, again, he is a very streaky player. In the both the Memphis and the Golden State series, he had streaks where the team could really ride it. But the thing is, you have to go through the up and he's not a consistent player. He's just not a consistent player. But if you're willing to deal with that, as a number 3 guy, he's really not. You're not building a championship team as him as a number 3 guy. As a number 4 or 5, Joe, and let's get Joe back in here. I think you can build around him with that, but he cannot be your number 3 guy. If he's your number 3 guy, you're not winning a title anytime soon.
Yeah, number 3 is not going to work.
We saw it this year.
The important part of this setup that the current collective bargaining agreement has set for the NBA and the players is you cannot, under a business reason, lose D'Lo for nothing. You lose D'Lo for nothing, you gain nothing.
So, Gerald, sorry to interrupt you, Joe. D'Angelo Russell has played in 32 playoff games. In those 32 playoff games, he has averaged 20 or more points 8 times. That's 25% of the time in the playoffs you're getting 20 or more. That is not clutch. That is not a championship caliber player. And by the way, Gerald, he's only been out of the first round once, and that was last year.
I just say again, to me, he's not a number 3 guy. And I know too easy. Was it too easy?
I think you guys have gotten lost on your discussion a little bit. It doesn't matter how bad D'Angelo Russell is.
Well, they had him last year. They had him last.
Asset management.
Sure.
This is a business decision. It has nothing to do with his last 2 years.
Who was interested in him last year? Let me just.
No
wait.
one.
Who would?
No one.
So, I'm dumb.
However, what you have to be prepared for, again, this is the agreement the Players Association and the owners agreed to. Unfortunately, we didn't make this call. I wouldn't have ever signed on to something
Subscriber,
like this. I'm
huh?
not a big fan of.
Cool.
I'm more of an open market type of guy.
Thank you, King.
And maybe it's easy for me to say that because it's the LA Lakers. I'd rather have them be able to spend $200 million. I don't care what Charlotte does. I don't care what New Orleans does. I don't care if they can afford anything. If you can't afford it, then don't be an NBA team. Besides, San Antonio won 5 championships.
I feel like signing D'Lo is a lot like that scene from Vegas Vacation where the guy from the Vegas car dealer, Gerald, says, "Back again, huh? Well, how about I take half your money now, take you back, kick you in the nuts, and we'll call it even."
I just don't think as your number 3.
It can work. Okay, you can say that no one wants him, which could be an advantage. Should no one want him at a price that he hopes he can get, that's only a positive for the Lakers. Either way, the Lakers have to retain him because you don't know. This is the NBA. I know it hasn't happened at least in a year or so. But actually, I don't really count Kevin Durant because he wants to go every other year somewhere else. But the the asset retention, number one. The other is, how do we not know? How do we know that maybe a star might not request to be traded? Now you have money to do that. The Lakers have plenty of money in contracts to move and go get a big contract if they need to.
But I do want to mention, Joe, the fact is he's a free agent. So you're right. He may not get the interest that he wants, because I use Grayson Allen as the litmus test, because he signed for like $18 million, $17.5 million per year, $18 million. Let's put it in that range. He wants more than that. He'll be looking for more than that when he goes out into the open market, because he got paid, or the year he's walking away from is $18 million. The thing is, well, let me just finish. There are teams out there, if their first number one option goes awry, like Orlando and San Antonio and others that need a decent shooting or good shooting guard, I mean, he will definitely come up and play at that for them. I think Orlando, you got to watch out for them. If they don't get Trae Young, they're going to be looking at a guy like D'Lo. Same thing with San Antonio to make it easier for Victor Wembanyama. I think those are the two. Plus, there might be some others, Washington, some others that might be willing to jack up the price, even if it just kills the Lakers.
Okay, so let's talk the talent part of this. What did D'Lo do this year that no Laker has ever done in the history of the Lakers organization?
Yeah. Congratulations on your 3-point accumulation.
Do you believe he's a starting point guard in the NBA?
Well, I asked that at the beginning of this year.
Teams.
Probably a better six man, but he is a starter too, right?
He's about
he's in between.
I would say he's about a mid, like what's between 12
18,
to 15.
Yeah,
12 to 15. I would put him at point guard as far as option, as far as 1 through 30 point guards in the league. I would probably put about 10.
He's hit the wall in the playoffs, but in the regular season, he's been pretty darn well. Now,
yes.
I'm not saying I want to ride the D'Angelo Russell horse to a championship. I don't know if that's possible.
Well, he's been very good since the calendar year started. Remember, he had played so badly and so poorly, he had relegated, Cam relegated him to the bench at one period of time.
Mm-hmm. But after the new year, he was pretty dead.
Yeah.
On.
Oh, yeah. Nobody can argue with that.
Okay, here's my question to you. Is there a better player in this free agency that's possible for the Lakers to get?
That's the problem too. The free agency.
The answer is no. The answer is no. There is no choice here. Again, I want to make sure you guys understand this. When I say you guys, I'm talking about everybody. The system is what it is. You have to work within the system. Dr. Buss used to always say, when someone would say, well, how are you going to go get this guy? He goes, we'll figure that out later. There's always a way. That's why that son of a gun was the best. And you have to have that kind of mentality, Genie. That's your, you grab that part of your pops, grab that part and make it work. Because that's what he did. He did it so well to the tune of 10 championships. 10 championships. More than Steinbrenner, more than the Bidwells, more than McCaskies, more than all those old owners of franchises. So you have to play within the rules, but then when it's time to make something happen, you have the guns and the assets to do it. And that's where I'm at right now. It's no time for feelings, and he went over in a game, and if we lose him, who cares? No, it's not who cares. Stone said it at the deadline. And for those of you who have argued against Stone for being negative, being this, being that, if D'Angelo leaves and there's no compensation coming back to LA, he now looks more like a genius than he did before. And he's already pretty damn smart. You cannot lose D'Angelo Russell unless somebody comes out and gives him a 4-year, $30 million contract, or even a $25 million contract. Then you're like, man, we should have listened to Stone at the deadline. We had no idea this guy was worth 75 to 100 million or 90 million. So that's it. That's the only bit of that leash I'm going to give you. If he ends up getting 25 mil per to 30, then yeah, you're stuck. You're not. You're going to be in trouble.
And that's the problem with Joe, because Orlando, San Antonio, there's a couple others.
Are they really going to pay?
They might
D'Angelo that
overpay.
much? Why didn't they pay? Why didn't you get that last year then?
Look at what Houston did.
Wouldn't it have been better last year to pay him $30 million on a 1-year contract?
But he's coming off the 42% three-point shooting now. That's the problem.
Okay, but
and you saw what Grayson Allen got for 46% shooting, and he's just a one-dimensional player.
But he's getting paid 18 mil, right?
Right around 18 million.
Phoenix is in a different situation. They have no depth. They had no choice but to sign him because they had his bird rights. And
I'm just saying, because if you're his agent, just put yourself in his agent.
Oh no, I'm understanding what you're saying, but Grayson Allen is not a good comparison. Phoenix has no one beyond the top 3 and Grayson Allen.
That's the market for a player like him. And D'Angelo thinks he's probably better than him, and his agent's going to market.
It doesn't matter, Gerald. It doesn't matter. The Phoenix situation is different. They're paying 3 guys super maxes practically, and they have no depth, and they had the bird rights on Grayson Allen, who happened to play his best season on his contract year, of course. I've seen that 100 times. And they had to sign him because they have no one else to sign. They can't sign anybody. If they had let him go, they would not have been able to get that back either. It's the same situation with the Lakers. If they lose D'Angelo, they lose everywhere. They can't use that money that they're not paying D'Angelo Russell and go put it to somebody else. Go ahead, Sean.
Let me get you. Okay.
I'm not saying Sean. I'm sorry, Sean. Let me say this one more. I'm not saying Sean is wrong in saying, if he goes. I get that part too. But, and there's some guys out there saying, well, do you really want to deal with this and double up? Oh, yeah, there's some validity to that. I get it. But I'm looking at it from, we get nothing. I'd rather take a chance at least something than 100% of nothing. Just say it. Go ahead, Sean.
Well, context matters too, and I pay attention to a lot of things as well. And does anyone else know who represents D'Angelo Russell?
Who's representing?
Anybody?
Who's representing?
Aaron Mintz.
Oh.
CAA.
Mm-hmm.
CAA. Do you know the reputation with CAA clients, Joe?
Negative.
They get their money.
So did Scott Boras, and look what happened to him this last summer.
Fair enough, but the fact remains is that
Scott Boras.
Do you know who Jeannie Buss is represented by, Joe?
CAA?
Bingo! Bingo! Yeah. So again, we come back to kind of the nepotism of this franchise, and but I mean, that's kind of the LA scene anyway, right? I mean, there's everybody sleeping with everybody, or everybody's doing business with everybody, and it's just you're jumping in and out of
producers caught with 15-year-olds in front of everybody. Yeah.
Anyway, the point I'm making is that usually Aaron Mintz and Gerald kind of went, Aaron Mintz. Aaron Mintz got Luke Kennard overpaid.
I'm just saying, it's sometimes about the law of
Aaron Mintz got the Clippers to get rinsed with that Paul George contract. Aaron Mintz represents a lot of NBA players that are overpaid. Now, he represents a couple of good ones, but for the most part, his clients are vastly overpaid, and that's the reputation that you get now. Are you going to overpay D'Lo? Because you do that, and that Mack truck is just waiting for you. I'm just saying it right now, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll save this tape, Gerald. Save it, because I'm telling you, you give D'Lo anything over 25, that Mack truck gonna hit you. It's just a fait accompli. So but Joe's correct too. and so is everybody else. I can't disagree with asset management. Like, I can't disagree with it. I don't like it. I don't like the idea of it. I can't disagree with it. I mean, that's sound finances. It is. That being said, for his production and what you're looking to accomplish, it's not a fit. It's not a fit.
So good points on both sides. Usually we're pretty one-sided on a lot of things, but I think this is the first time in a while where we've had good arguments on both sides and both would make sense. However, the Lakers have to do some special things in the next couple months. One is still predicated on somebody saying you can have something, New Orleans being that team. The other is LeBron James and management coming together and understanding that if they don't get the correct coach, LeBron James ends his career somewhat unfulfilled. And this isn't something to dog on him. This is something to say, oh, I'm not down with this or that. It's simple facts. Facts is your resume doesn't look good when you've played 23 seasons as good as you are and you've only won 4. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work, especially when you had the opportunity to have everything set up for you and you still don't win. Not expecting 10 either. You should have 6 already. And if you'd had 6, like I said, he'd be fine. He could go home and say, look, I don't really care about getting number 7. I got 6. I can go home. 4's not enough. Being picky here, folks. I'm being picky. You can't be the best ever and win only 4 times in 23 seasons. Go ahead, Sean. Unmute yourself. Enjoy yourself.
I got you. Go ahead, Sean. Oh, he just muted himself. I got you now. You're good now. I said you're good.
Yeah.
That's a joke, guys. I'm miming it on purpose.
So we'll go into the lottery in a minute with Gerald. But Joe, let me ask you a question then. Based on what you said about LeBron, and it's basically inarguable. Do you think a lot, and he's got a lot of, I'm going to use the word brown nosers in this instance. He's got a lot of brown nosing historians and people in the media who will, fluff him up. Do you think when he's retired, it'll say LeBron, a former player who went to the finals 8 straight years, rather than a 4-time champion first?
They already
Almost,
do that.
almost in the same vein like Jerry West, right? Like, and Michael, I already knew your answer to that, but my second part of the question is part B. Do you think he would have the same attitude as Jerry West? Because Jerry hates that when people bring it up. His finals appearances, he absolutely despises it, and he asked people to stop bringing it up. I don't think LeBron would.
Unfortunately, I didn't see Jerry play. However, I'm gonna throw something in the wall on this one. Reading up on that particular era of basketball, Jerry West and Elgin Baylor were the 1-2 punch for the Lakers, and the Celtics were more stacked during that era with the most.
I think if you go to the late 60s, I think you could make an argument that it was sort of even. But yeah, for that first run, I agree.
Now, where things get weird is, and this is it's going to come down to interpretation. And the easiest way to go with this is, look, he lost. He wasn't good enough, right? And that's something that you can't argue. 1969, they get Will Chamberlain. 1968 for the 69 finals. They lose in 7 in LA. A lot of drama in that last game where.
Yeah, thanks, Jack Ken Cook. Way to go.
I mean, Jack Kent Cook was
The balloons
putting the balloons up there, but Fred,
Fred.
the head coach, having a tiff with Will Chamberlain, not being injured, and then saying we don't need him, and a combination of Don Nelson's holy shot up in the air, dropping down, and then on top of that, Jerry West wins, which, by the way, is probably my favorite little side story of the Winning Time show.
Man, Don Nelson should have won a championship with the Lakers first, and then if he wanted to win one with the Celtics, but damn it, it just didn't happen.
All that had to probably had been all we would need it was Frank Selvey hitting that open shot in the first meeting. Well,
if Don Nelson won a championship with the Lakers, he'd never have to buy a joint in LA ever again.
Okay, so there's Jerry West. Okay, so Jerry West. Here's the issue with this: Jerry West has Will Chamberlain in '69. They should win that series. They were up in that series too, twice. They don't win. Then the following year, they lose again to the Knicks. And is Jerry West, can you compare the Jerry West to the LeBron thing? Now, Jerry West never called himself the greatest of all time. Does that matter? I think it does. LeBron said he was the best ever after winning 2016.
I think it's fair. Sports Illustrated called him the chosen one. He didn't bestow that label upon himself. But yes, Joe, that's
he put it on his back, by the way.
He did. Well, he put the chosen one on the back. The Sports Illustrated dubbed him. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna answer this question simply. This is the simple way. LeBron is an all-time great. He is the number one player of his era. From 2010, 2011 to 2020. It's LeBron's era. And this is with Steph and Durant. LeBron is number one over those guys. And I think considerably, by the way. Considerably. Not even close. And that's it. I'm not going to talk about the mid-2000s, the late 2000s. His era, just like Jordan, his 8th season, won his title. That's when he took over. LeBron is the greatest player of his era, above Steph, above Durant. And to me, it's not even close. He's number one, and Steph or Durant, whatever, are a distant second. That's it. That's all I'm giving him.
So you think it's a more I guess tasty subject if you argued like who is the best in the Kobe TD era? That's a little closer.
When Kobe was on, the Spurs never had a chance. That was the baddest mother effer when it came to him and the Spurs.
Both have 5.
The Spurs were deathly afraid of Kobe Bryant in those runs. The only time they really dominated the Lakers really was in '99. That was it. The win in 2003, it took a couple things to go the Spurs' way.
The big issue is Manu. The Lakers never had a guard that could check Manu Ginobili.
Manu became greater later.
He was a bad Joe. He was a bad man.
2003 was Duncan's season. 2003, if you watch Game 6 in LA, Duncan pulled a Kobe on Shaq, LA, everyone. That was the greatest game I've ever seen Tim Duncan play. Was Game 6 of the semifinal in 2003. If you all don't believe me, watch the full game and see what that man did in that game. He absolutely destroyed Shaq and the Lakers to win that series, to clinch it. But in the grand scheme of things, Kobe Kobe owned that 2000 to 2010 era. What from the beginning to the end. Maybe you give Shaq a little bit of those 2 years, but I think Kobe finishes off that year. Shaq, the reason why Shaq isn't 100% in any era was because Shaq took too many breaks. And Shaq saying that Shai Gilgeous should have won the MVP and disrespecting Jokic, that's jealousy. That's jealousy that this big man has 3 and he has 1. Well, the reason, and there's there's truth to it, because I still say Shaq should have been MVP in 2000, 2001, 2002. But the reason why he wasn't was because he always played not enough games. He didn't care enough in the regular season. He really cared about the regular season in 3 seasons his whole career. His first 2 seasons in the NBA, then he got his $40 million money, right? And then in 2000, and that was when he was due his next extension. So all this stuff about, oh, Phil told me, hey, if you do this, you're going to win MVP. And I'm like, yeah, sure, up in the Montana mountains. Man, Shaquille didn't give 2 craps about what anyone said, okay? He knew his contract was coming up. He had his best season, arguably greatest NBA statistical season with the championships ever in 2000, and he got an extension that summer. Check out the stats on that, by the way. That's why Shaq played those 3 seasons balls out. And then he left Orlando. Why? Because Orlando wasn't going to drop 121. And maybe they would have, because they thought, no one's going to give Shaq 120. We'll wait it out. We'll give him 90. Somebody will say...
That's why he's looked upon as such a mercurial figure, the most mercurial figure in NBA history, Joe, because even with all that said, between 1992 and 2003, you could argue Shaq had the most dominant 10-year period in NBA history, more than Jordan, more than Wilt, more than Magic, more than Bird.
I think it was Bet David, the real popular podcast guy out there.
That dick.
Yeah, he asked Kobe if Shaq had it might not have been him, but somebody asked Kobe if Shaq
Of course he asked that question.
If Shaq had your work ethic, Kobe, without even a hesitation, he goes, oh, Shaq would have been the greatest basketball player of all time. Look, that's an easy answer. I'm not gonna go into that. Shaq didn't need to be Kobe's.
Don't invest in pyramid schemes, by the way. That's where that guy made that money.
It's the key here is to, again, we're veering off this, so I'm gonna kind of finish this and then we're gonna go on to normal subjects here. If he had just had a normal work ethic, just about business and stop worrying about whether this coach has done something or that coach has done something, which is all bull crap, by the way. Shaq is the biggest, he can be the biggest BSer that you can ever know. He's a great man, takes care of people. He's a good person. I like Shaq, but he tends to BS a lot when things aren't really true. So Shaq, LeBron, to me, I think there were some decisions in their careers that left them a little bit below what they should be. And as far as the people who kiss LeBron's ass, we already know who those people are. We got
they don't just kiss it.
We have Dave McMenamin. We have Brian Windhorst. We have that Fox that works at Sportsnet. What's her name? Allie Clifton. Folks,
don't know her.
The moral of the story in this, and I'm going to end it at this: don't idle. We love Kobe, okay? We love Kobe. We love Magic, but don't idolize these guys. There's things that Magic has done that I don't like, and it's just not good. It's basketball related, by the way, folks. Kobe, some things he did in the early 2000s that I don't like. I'm talking about the court. And to me, those are the things that kept those guys sometimes from reaching certain things. And that's it. I'm going to leave it at that.
Sportsnet. If you replace Allie Clifton with Allie LaForce, that Allie I will watch all the time.
But see, LaForce is not a part of the LeBron contingency.
Oh, no.
They brought her over so that he had a buffer, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. With that, we're done with that. And we're going to go into
And that's that.
That's it. That's it. Like, the best way to end the movie Casino is, and that's that, with those big glasses. So Today, the Atlanta Hawks. Thank you, Gerald. You seriously, man, you're really good at this. Oh man, right on the dot. The Atlanta Hawks won the lottery today with 3% of a chance of winning the top pick. That's where we are right now in terms of the positive. The negative, though, is this is possibly, arguably, the worst draft probably ever. Now, I don't know if that's fair to say. This is what I've been hearing.
We don't know that 5-10 years.
We're never going to know. We're not going to know this for about 3 or 4 years. But apparently, this is probably going to be not a good one. But
it's watered down. You
correct.
Can say that, Joe.
Correct. Good word to use on that. So Atlanta wins, and of course, the sad part about this story, really, and the beginnings of my stomping grounds, which is a suburb of Detroit. Detroit has had the worst record the last 2 seasons and have gotten the 5th pick in both seasons. So I don't think I see Detroit ever tanking at this point. And I don't know, maybe hopefully with some luck they can get the best pick in the draft here with the 5th pick. But we'll say a prayer for them and hope for the best. I'm seeing Zachary 1 and then Star 1, depending on which mock you go to. So the question I have for you guys is, I'll start with Gerald. Gerald, I don't know much about these guys. Anytime there's an international player, again, I rely on Stone usually for that kind of stuff. But who is likely to get that first pick? And I'll tell you who I think it's likely going to be with the limited information I have. I do think the Hawks do need a big man, and I think Star would likely be the first pick overall.
Alexander Sarr. Actually, Magic Man and I watched that game on television that they played here near me, as far as the G League versus the Australian team that Alexander Sarr is part of. And we were so impressed with that time what Sarr could give you. Could stretch the floor. Not great yet, but he plays in that offense from the three-point area most of the time. Obviously on defense, he was just killing it. And there were guys that are in this. Okay, let me give you an example. There were guys on this list like Buzelis. He was just owning him in the block. We saw that block shot after block shot. In fact, one play he blocked him twice. And that's the guy you have right now at number 5 on this mock draft. And that, again, Sarr's number, when you look at the video, besides that game, you look at the video extensively, Joe, and some things pop out at you as far as good and bad. And he is not popping out at you the way that other number 1 draft picks may or may not do for you. I'm just saying right now, it is a weaker draft than most on the surface. I'd say Sarr personally, but that's the case of Kongwu or Capella. You're going to have to get rid of one of those guys. Capella still has, I believe, another year, like 20-something million. So you're going to have to, you're going to have to figure a way to package him out if you want to go ahead and put Sarr in there. Sarr would probably be best not as a center, but as a power forward would be my guess. Is probably, as a stretch 4.
Too slim. Yeah, Gerald, too slim.
Yeah, he's just at stretch 4. It would have been awesome to see him on the Spurs, to be quite honest with you, paired alongside him. That would have been just unfair if you're going to the basket and you've got him on one side and you've got Wemby on the other. That would have just been unreal. But I saw right now on other mock drafts, I know they have Ricochet as the number 1 on Tankathon, but other drafts like ESPN and others have Sarr as a number 1. So I'm probably going to say he is number 1 because Ricochet is a better shooter, but he is not that much of a better shooter right now at this point than Sarr to take away all the defensive things he gives you, Joe. So I'd probably say I'm probably leaning Sarr myself will go number 1 in this draft. Although, again, don't be surprised if someone gets momentum like we saw in the Pablo Banchero draft where we weren't 100% sure until the very last day who is going to be picked number one. You should see something like that again, Joe. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry, guys. Thank you for that quick mock-up there, Gerald. Sean, what's your take on this? What do you got in terms of the top of the draft here?
Yeah, I think if I think there are really only two culture changers in the top, Joe. One is Sar and the other is Kling Kong. I love that kid's story.
The Klingon?
Yeah. Donovan Klingon. Yeah. I love that kid's story. Mother was an athlete, unfortunately passed away a few years ago. Donovan used to get up at 4:00 in the morning in Bristol, Connecticut to shovel snow. Kid's got a work ethic beyond belief. He's a culture changer. So whoever he goes to, and if the Rockets take him, man, you've got Klingon, you've got Steven Adams, you've got Alperen Şengün. You might have the best mix of centers in the NBA by far. And I mean, you're in a division right now, Joe and Gerald, with Jonas Valanciunas, Victor Wembanyama, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. You need an athletic and or defensive minded center that's young to compete with this group. And I think Klingon number 3 going to the Rockets makes a lot of sense. And Gerald, I think you can play him with Şengün. I don't think you can play him with Steven Adams, but I definitely think you can play him with Şengün. I think that's two centers you can actually put on the floor together.
Castle is a premier defender. I will tell you, for UConn, obviously he provided some great defense over the course of the tournament. The kids from Kentucky, it's so funny because both these guys came off the bench, and yet they're in the top 10 for the draft. Dillingham and Shepherd. Shepherd, watch out for Shepherd because he is, I think most people consider him the best shooter in the draft, Joe. A kid who shot over 50% from 3. I'm not saying differently right here. He did shoot over 50% from the field and 50% from over 50% from 3. So he kid just does his size wise. He's only 6'3", so it'd be a little bit small for a shooting guard, Joe. But he does have good feel for the game and some decent athleticism. Dillingham as a point guard, pretty good as far as the distribution is concerned. Ron Holland is Stone's choice right now as the number 1 pick. He was at one time this time last year, Joe, or actually as at the time that Magic and I saw that game against the G League here in Henderson, that he was the number 1 choice at the time. He was the number 1 draft pick at the time. And Stone still feels that way, that Ron Holland should be number 1. So again, this is a draft where all these guys are on the table and you're just trying to find the best foot forward on, because right now it's looking really, really rough right now for a definitive number 1 in the draft.
Go ahead, John. Yeah, Gerald, I was just going to say the twist here is that you notice there's a lot of Euro international flavor pretty much at the top 12. That being said, I got to be honest, Gerald. Yeah, we watched that game. I get a lot of Darko Milicic vibes off Buzelis.
I'm going to have to get more into Buzelis, but because I didn't see it.
I will say this, Gerald. We've seen in the past that kind of that draft and stash mentality worked, and because international players didn't have the same cachet and flavor that American-born players did, that they kind of had to live with being a draft and a stash guy. You know when that really started to change, Gerald?
When was that?
When the Lakers drafted Ivica Zubats. And Zubats
You have to rub
said,
it in on me again, don't you?
yeah, well, I mean, it's true though. I mean, Zubats said the Lakers didn't want Zubats to come over right away, Gerald. You know
Yeah,
that.
that's true. That's why he was drafted in the second round. Nobody did.
Nobody
That's why
didn't.
he went in
Yeah.
the second round.
And he said, "No, no, I'm not staying in Europe. I'm ready to develop right now. Right now, I want on the floor." And the Lakers took a chance, and unfortunately, we haven't seen the sprouting of that development. We saw a little bit of it. We saw like a little peek in through the blinds, Gerald, until that happened. But that being said, that was the move right there that changed how fringe international Euro players see themselves. And a lot of people have picked the Spurs as picking that those Euro international players. But the fact of the matter is, other than Wemby, they've had a bad track record, Gerald. One of the best players in the FIBA tournament was a player named Nikola Milutinovic. The Spurs drafted him, Gerald,
Mhm.
but they had problems negotiating his contract and getting him to come over to America. Almost do you guys remember Ricky Rubio? Do you remember how risky that pick was by
Mhm.
the Wolves? I mean, Rubio almost didn't come over. So it's a flip of the coin with dealing with a lot of these Euro international agents right now, because they will be adamant that they want their player to come over and play right away. And if you're not going to do that, they will play hardball. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's an international player or two in this draft who's pretty good to really good, who might play hardball with the team that drafts him and wants him to stay in Europe for a year or two.
Joe, before I bring it back to you, I posted up here on the site what Stone is looking at for prospects for the Los Angeles Lakers. So I wanted to get that for you on that and just let you know what's going on with what he was thinking, Joe. He said a dream would be to get Holland or Collier, Isaiah Collier out of USC, or Ron Holland out of the G League Ignite. More realistic would be Dayron Holmes II, who is a 6'10" power forward out of Dayton, or Jalen Tyson would be another possibility. He is a 6'7" shooting guard out of California. Those are the more realistic options for him. And then he mentioned anyone else. He said he doesn't think that they would have a chance on any one of those guys. So yeah, trade the pick. But that's what he's thinking right now, Joe.
Well, the Ron Holland decision could. I can see why Stone likes him. I think he's going to be a future Defensive Player of the Year participant. He's that good on that side. He's 6'8", who can play defense. And when you get that in the NBA, you're going to have a career for at least 10 to 12 years if you stay healthy. If he develops a three-point shot on top of that, he's going to be a $25-30 million a year player.
Bloodhound, good question on Bronny. If he gets drafted, it's not going to be by any other team but the Los Angeles Lakers.
Don't interrupt me again when we're talking about NBA players, please.
Well, I'm just
bringing
saying
up some bullshit.
50. Remember, they have a pick at 55.
I don't give a shit if they're picking 99.
Well, if they want to throw away,
you could have 200 picks. You interrupted my talk.
Sorry, Joe.
About a 5 goddamn point a game player.
Here we go.
You can't drive 55.
I could have scored 5 points a game at USC. Yes, I said it. Put me in the game and let's see. Give me 2 to 3 months. Give me 2 to 3 months. Okay? Let me get into really good shape and I'll get you 5 points a game. I am positive I can get 5 points a game.
With their schedule, I can't disagree with Joe Soro.
Anyways.
So you don't think they're going to waste their
Don't ever interrupt me again when it comes to that. Otherwise, you're going to get muted for 5 minutes.
Pepperdine.
I'm the one who has control.
Okay.
You can't mute me.
You could have waited to ask that question when I was done. Okay, we're talking about somebody who's an NBA player who should be a first pick, who's going to likely drop into the late singles, and a team is going to get a really good player. I don't think he's going to drop to 17 if the Lakers have that pick.
I think Bronny James could average more triple singles than Lonzo Ball did for the Lakers.
Yeah. Well, back to reality here, folks. Thank you. I'm with Sean. I'm sorry.
It's a Freudian slip, ladies and
gentlemen.
It's called a
Freudian slip. Anyways, but you know what I mean.
Pick on him. I bet you.
I'm with Stone in that when you get a guy that can.
Joe, didn't you just hear that?
I'm not going to bet you. No. I'll take
that Gerald. What, are you getting a little weak in the knees now?
Number 55 pick. They might waste it on Bronny. I'll say they might waste it.
Okay, Gerald, I'll bet you. I say that they do.
I don't want to bet. I'll take it. I'm not going to.
I will take you and the family out to a nice steak dinner. Yeah.
You live in Canada, man. How are you supposed to do that? By Zoom?
Well, what do you mean? I'm going to come out there eventually.
Well, okay.
We don't want to bet or not
talk for now.
Are you taking the bet or not?
Have that number 55 pick, and if they really want to throw it away, they're going to go ahead and draft.
I feel
throw it away. A team that's desperate for talent, throw it away.
That's what they would be doing, Joe.
So that we can watch a Hallmark show in a professional league, the most professional league in basketball. Seriously. This is what this has become. I've told you guys already. If that goddamn crap happens, I'm not watching the games anymore.
And I can't blame you.
Until that son of a gun is off the team. I'm done. I'll come on here and I'll talk about, what happened? Oh, really? Oh, good. No, I'm done with this discussion. Let's talk about
Laker Tom is already putting cap space.
I don't give a shit what Laker Tom is doing.
He's a very good actor. He could get away with that.
I'm not playing the Laker Tom fantasy league. Look, if I play fantasy football. Okay, that's it. That's the I watch some fantasy movies. That's about it. But I know that stuff's fake. That stuff is fake, folks. Basketball, NBA basketball, when they play, is real. Now the refs might manipulate
I don't
the outcome,
want
but
Bronny on the team
it's
either.
real.
I'm just saying that they might do it to.
I'm done with this discussion. I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
End of subject.
Yeah, end of subject.
Do it. He pulled the Tony Soprano on Gerald.
So going back to my train of thought here. We're talking about Ron Holland. Is it Ron Holland or just Ron Holland?
It's Ron Holland.
Is it Ron Holland? Okay.
Yes.
So Ron,
I don't think so, Jeff.
Ron is in the little again, guys. I'm not. If I had more time, I'd be able to delve into this a little bit more. It's hard to watch amateur, high school, pros and other leagues a lot, but. We do research on the show before we get on it sometimes, it's part of the gig. But
Joe doesn't want to talk about slappies.
No, not at all. So going back to Holland. So Holland is a guy that we've been talking about who is a real 3-and-D type of player, right?
Good
now,
question, Jeff.
Ron Holland is got the defense set, and you're talking about a guy who's 6'8". How the whole Vanderbilt thing that you're talking about? That we wish we had a guy that could score. This guy
Joe needs to answer. Joe needs to answer that question.
I don't have disdain for Bronny.
Oh, really?
I have disdain for the question. The fact that this is you guys are misinterpreting this, and you guys got to think a little bit. I'm not yelling at a teenager. I'm yelling at the morons who are saying the Lakers are going to waste a pick on a non-NBA player when they have no talent. I am not going to watch a goddamn Kardashian show as a Laker fan. I'm not going to do it. There is a line. It's done. I'm not doing this. I swear to God, this is not Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. Ken Griffey Jr. Sr. was a good player. Okay, his son just happened to be one of the greats. That's different. I don't feel like I should be able to. Is this really that difficult to understand? Seriously, is it that difficult to understand? I don't
like
hate a kid.
I
hate
Gerald's
the fact
version
that this
of
is a
Saw.
subject.
This is Gerald's version of Saw.
Oh, this is it. Mute's coming now. You got the rant. Fine. Y'all got entertained by it, hopefully. I'm not discussing this. Okay? Let's talk about what the Lakers are going to do here should New Orleans officially get them to pick. The Lakers, what do they need now more than anything? What could they have used in this run, this last run, that would have been a huge benefit? I believe they could have used a big man that could at least help out AD and let AD play in his natural position. So there's two players. Unfortunately, one of them might be a tweener towards the power forward area more. And then the other one is a guy who, if he was being drafted in 2015, would probably be a top 5 pick. But
I like
because
Kyle Filipowski. I think if he's still on the board when the Lakers
so you would choose Filipowski over Edey?
Yes.
I would go Khalil Ware, personally. A little more athletic than Filipowski. That's the only reason.
You think he'll be there, though?
Both are projected right around that area in the teams.
But do the Lakers know that? Or is Rob going to go find another Big Ten player that we don't know about? And then blame it on the bus boys.
Yeah, he'll do the latter, Joe.
Yeah? I swear to God, if this thing goes the way you guys keep yapping about, I swear to God, it's over.
I'm just not going to put it. I'm not, because Sports Baby's asking me, do you think that would happen if they sign LeBron and then draft who, Voldemort? You can't say his name. I'm just going to say I'm not going to put anything behind by Jeannie and Rob at this point, especially when they have a pick that late in the draft.
Who are they trading the pick for, guys? For what? That means you guys are insinuating then that the Lakers are going to get a third star by trading that pick?
In a weak draft? Shouldn't they have done that last year?
It would have been ideal.
Yeah.
But they only had one. Now they have 3, right? That they can trade? Or 2?
Well, one fly, if you bring in Edey, you are committing to a drop coverage. You cannot ever have him on the court and play up. You are committing to a drop defensive coverage. It's just that simple because he just physically cannot do it. So, especially with LeBron, and if you have LeBron and AD on the court at the same time, while it's great size wise, it's just, are they going to be crowding the middle with each other? Or could you play both at the same time, Joe? I mean, AD cannot stretch the floor. We've clearly seen AD cannot stretch the floor for you beyond 20 feet. True. That's a good point, Jeff. We don't know what this draft ultimately will be like.
So we saw Brook Lopez. We saw Brook Lopez. My comp for Edey is Brook Lopez. He almost looks like his body looks just like him. Now, Brook Lopez in this just amazing career that he actually created here, he got better at he became a 3-point threat when he wasn't. And he was a runner-up as a defensive player of the year when he was known pretty much first 10 years of his career as a liability there.
He also became a 3-point shooter after the age of 30, which is extremely rare.
Can he be the next Brook Lopez? Would be the question I would ask.
Anything's possible. But that you're talking about, 2 different people in 2 different situations.
Yeah.
It's the ideal situation for Edey is Oklahoma. They need beef. They need somebody down low that can make room for Shea and Jalen Williams.
Play on the perimeter.
And Holmgren can play on the perimeter. Gerald's right. So he fits all the elements that the Thunder need. I think he's going to the Thunder personally.
But they don't have to, like we were talking about, what is Edey projected? The highest I've seen him is in the low 20s. he has been rising up steadily on draft boards. Most of them I've seen between 25 and 40 is usually it's right around. So he's like a wild card, late first round, early second round. And Oklahoma City does have its way to go ahead and.
So let me ask you a
that.
different question to you, Gerald. Who do you think son is the better, will have a more prosperous career? One LeBron James and Bronny James, or DeJuan Wagner's son, DJ Wagner?
That's a good question. I'd say DJ Wagner.
I'd say DJ Wagner too.
I'd say Bryce James.
Because DeJuan Wagner was a very good NBA player. He was just hurt all the time. Had bad knees, but that guy was a very good NBA player.
I think Bronny's being set up for failure. That's just my opinion.
I agree. I think DJ Wagner is in a better position.
But again, Magic Man, the reason why I would even contemplate making a bet with you on that thing is the individual, we cannot say their names, is because they have that late 55 pick. And, you know, if they are in the LeBron pleasing business, that's the problem. LeBron, remember, genie on one arm, then the Rambus on the other.
That's going to haunt us, I think, more than the Russ picture going down the line, but we'll see.
I think if they pick anyone other than the best player available at 55, considering how good they've been at picking the right guy in the second round, and then obviously they've thrown that stuff out the window on top of it, but at least picking, they've done well. Jordan Clarkson, Zubac, Clarkson. They've been picking guys in those areas, and those guys are legit NBA players, and some are legit starters and contributors. You screw that up with some Kardashian bullshit, then you deserve to lose and lose bad.
I could tell you differently, Joe.
I mean, I'm not going to root for them to lose, but you, seriously, Jeannie, Rob, LeBron, all of you can eat a giant sausage if that happens. You want to pick them up as a free agent and play one game and run off to the sunset? I still won't watch it, but you better not waste draft capital on it. You better not waste my mother freaking time, man.
What if they get him as a two-way, as an undrafted?
You keep asking me these stupid questions. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Okay.
End of subject.
The draft can't be awful until it's 2-3 years in, possibly 4 or 5 years in, folks.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know 100%.
Yeah, we don't really know. It's just not possible to know. If 2 or 3 guys come out of this perennial all-stars, it's not going to be the worst draft. Right now, the worst draft it's still looking like is 2012. I'm sorry, 2013.
The Anthony Bennett draft.
Oh, my Jesus. Have you guys looked at that lineup from top to bottom? I thought 2000 was bad, but whew, wow.
Hey, Kenyon Martin can still brag to this day.
And Michael Redd, who was picked in the second round in 2000, would have been the second pick. That's how bad 2000 was. Oh, my God. Anyways, so we've talked about the draft. We've talked about what's going on with the Lakers in terms of coaching. We're coming up on the second hour here. This was an impromptu nightcap, but I wanted, the audience wanted a show, and we give what the audience wants.
What are your thoughts on the playoffs?
So to finish this last segment here with the playoffs, so we continue, and I say we as in the general audience of the NBA, we continue to think series are over after one win. Can we stop doing this, please? Okay. The Knicks were off to winning their third championship. How's that look now? Minnesota and Anthony Edwards was going to be the 91 Bulls now. with Anthony Edwards changing his name to Jordan. And where are we now? Actually, that one was worse. You win 2 games on the road in Denver, and then you relinquish 2 at home in the next 2 games. Why? Why did that happen? Maybe some adjustments on Denver's part, but I'm sorry, Minnesota. If you were about it, you would have at least taken one of these games. You got your ass handed to you twice at home. You should have won one of these games. And if you had won one of these games, probably finish this in 6 comfortably. However, now we got a series. And my hope, just for viewership entertainment, I don't care if Denver wins or Minnesota. I don't really care. But I would like to see if every road team can win. I think that just would be a cool thing to watch. As far as the Knicks and Pacers, the Knicks injury issues are starting to really affect them now. And I'm not going to say they're going to lose the series, but it's looking like this path for the Celtics is going to get much, much easier should the Knicks win this series with a couple guys pretty much getting bounced from play. And then at that point, we're going to have to pray that Oklahoma, Dallas, Denver, or Minnesota takes out the Celtics, because this season it could be much worse than what it already has been. And we've discussed this. And for you guys, I don't know how you feel about it, but if this ends up being a Celtic championship season, what then? When are we going to see the next championship for the Lakers so that we can start getting over that hump again when we've already kind of met it? Gerald, go ahead. Please talk about anything but. Yeah,
we asked the other day, do we think that LeBron and AD was a championship duo? And I said no. I don't think they have another championship in them. That's just my personal view. Unless
not as
you build
currently constructed.
No, not even close to currently constructed.
It won't be. We won't be waiting less than a year like we did the last 2 times they won a title, and then we won it the very next year. It won't be that soon. That much I'm sure of. I don't know how long, Joe, but I'm sure it won't. It won't be within a year.
It's going to be bad. The transition is going to be bad because AD will hit 33 when LeBron's contract ends.
Why did you say contract like that?
We got to wait to see what it is. Is he going to get a 2-year extension, or is he going to get a 3-year extension?
But why? Like, why the quotation marks though?
Because I was watching Austin Powers today, and I've been wanting to do it.
Fair enough.
That's the transition right now is also a problem. How does this team transition? That's why getting the correct coach can help this too.
And it's just simple things in life. Mike Myers trying to do a 3-turn out of a a 3-point turn that turned into an hilarious 3 minutes.
Can I have a hug? Come on. Come here. Let's go.
Rest in peace, Vern Troyer.
Oh, man. I think Mike Myers has in his prime had the ability to make you laugh. He would do 5 or 6 bits in one scene, and you could not stop laughing. It's like he just continued, and it continued, and it continued. Oh man.
Probably a hot take here. Wayne's World 2 is better than Wayne's World.
I look at them as the same movie.
I do not.
I do.
Okay.
Although
there are certain sequels that are better than the original.
I will say this.
Godfather 2 is better than the original Godfather. Terminator 2 Judgment Day is better than the original Terminator. And Wayne's World 2 is better than Wayne's World.
I do like the scene with Christopher Walken when he's staring at him when he's trying to tell him about the sphincter says what. And he goes, "You want me to say what? Like I don't get it." And then like, why'd you ban that guy,
look,
Joe? You know we
Joe,
all want to see your little
Joe,
brown crack.
what
I didn't ban anybody.
What takes Wayne's World 2 over the top
I
is
don't ban people, fools. Go
is
ahead.
the absurdity of the caricatures of the people that are like the guy who played Jim Morrison looks nothing like Jim Morrison, and adding the naked Indian on top of it was just freaking like what's that
I
guy's
had to
name
go
who
back
played
and watch the movie The Doors. Like, what is he talking about?
who
And I'm like, oh shoot, yeah.
Gerald, wasn't that who played Sammy Davis Jr. in Wayne's World 2?
It wasn't Chris Rock.
Tim
Meadows.
Tim Meadows, that's right,
Yes.
from SNL.
Yes. That was a horrible, hilarious Sammy Davis Jr. And I think
I
that's
just remember Rob Lowe throughout the entire, just grinning throughout the entire movie.
Yes.
But Joe, Sean as well, any last thoughts on the playoffs before we head on out?
I think we can talk. I think we can maybe go on a little bit of some predictions to finish off, at least to get to the
I
conference
think
final.
the Thunder Mavs series is a 7-game series, Gerald.
Maybe we should do another D'Lo-centric episode just to piss off everybody like they did in the comments the other day.
I don't know why that would anger people. It's there's arguments for both
Seem too.
pretty clearly.
Yeah, I mean, if you I'm not gonna go there anyway.
You should go there.
I should go there.
I want to make Gerald uncomfortable for making me uncomfortable the last freaking 20 minutes.
Oh,
Bronny James? Bronny James?
Honestly, that was Gerald's saw. He was jigsaw through that whole thing.
Do you want to play a game? Let's play a game.
I only saw the first one. I didn't see the other crap. Anyway, yeah, Oklahoma.
1 through 3 were good. The rest start getting a little redundant.
They usually do with the horror
They're
series.
called money grabs for a reason, Joe.
Well, they had a genius marketing plan. They'd always come out during Halloween, so it was pretty smart how they did it. No, just good job giving people what they want. Somebody getting twisted in some machine for whatever reasons. But anyways, go ahead, Sean. Let's go back to basketball here.
Yeah, the twist at the end of the first one is just brilliant, though. Anyway,
Do you see all 4 series going 7?
No. I think it's very possible. Denver wins 4 straight here.
Mm-hmm. I can see that, and I could see the Celtics winning the next 2 games.
This is going to hurt me, Joe, for saying this, but Mike Malone, as much as we hate the guy, he did a really good job, him and the coaching staff, preparing between games 2 and game 3. They came up with a game plan and completely changed this series around.
I think we overanalyze the game plan sometimes. I think Mike Malone might have triggered something in the champ's mind, because when I was watching today's game, it looked like men playing against boys. There was a mentality change in the last 2 games. I bet he was in there going, "You letting these young bleep, you guys are the champs and you're bleep." Sometimes it's not about the X's and O's. It's about where the hell is your nuts. You just got your ass waxed.
I will say this, Gerald. I mean, we both questioned, when Ant was originally drafted and he came out and he said, "Yeah, I like video games and I like rapping." It was almost like, it could have went either way there. It could have went either way, but he just decided to buckle down and work his
work ethic came into question, and he has turned it around.
And obviously that young team needed somebody like Mike Conley in the huddle, Gerald, to kind of get their heads wrapped around the seriousness of what's going on, but they need an upgrade at the point guard position, Gerald. They really do. Mike
Yeah.
Conley's showing his age.
But also, you saw again what Joe didn't see is game 3 from game 2. They instituted a much different offense, much more screen and roll, pick and roll action, so it would free up their key.
Once you get Rudy away from the basket, it is a problem.
Their key was getting Murray open and getting him good looks, and that's what they did starting in game 3. And I said if Minnesota had played the way they did the past, the 4 games against Phoenix and the 2 games against Minnesota, that was a NBA championship level team. And unfortunately, Denver has just schemed them right off the floor. They have lost all confidence. They do not look like a very confident team at all.
Cat is not a good defender. He's just not. He's a very good offensive player. He is not a good defensive player.
He didn't show up today, and he deserves a lot of the blame for today.
Minnesota is another killer and a point guard away from being up next.
I think that's a good possibility, Weston. I think that they did go away from their strengths. I think they got rattled. I really think they got rattled in game 3, and they did not anticipate it being that much harder. They thought it would be easy. They went into game 3 thinking this was going to be easy and that they had all the answers. And Denver came in, and I know you don't want to give enough credit to Michael Malone on this, but I think he changed the questions. And yet that Minnesota has yet to answer.
Absolutely. I
hate saying it because I hate Michael Malone, but you got to give him credit when it's due. When you have that type of turnaround, he does deserve some credit for opening up that offense and getting Murray better looks.
Yeah, I just think I think Chris Finch is a great coach. Good for him, because we were talking about 2 years ago, Gerald, whether or not he'd survive what was going on in Minnesota. He's a very good coach, but I think he's maximized that team's potential at this point, because I don't think it's a matter of schemes or effort. I just think it's personnel, and Mike Malone has better personnel, and he can work around his weaknesses better than Finch can. So that's a good point you made.
And plus, they got better production from their bench as well. So much better than they got in the Lakers series.
As far I can't add anything that Joe said about the Knicks and the Pacers. I think that's a case. I think every home team is going to win their games, and then we'll see what happens in game 7. And yeah, the Cleveland Cavaliers gonna cavalier themselves right into a second round exit. Think it's bounced in 5.
Who's bouncing at 5?
Whenever I see that symbol that they have, I always think of maraschino cherries. That sword in it. That's so when I think of Cleveland Cavaliers, I think of maraschino.
I always think
cherries.
that with Virginia. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, they look like the little cherry next into the what was it? The gin and Collins.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they usually put the gin and Collins with.
By the way, delicious maraschino cherries.
I some people put lime in that. I put the cherry, and then I'll squeeze it in there, and it takes a little bit of that pine taste away and actually softens it up.
So the way back when we reached 1,600 subscribers earlier today, and thank you again for subscribing and being a part of what we do here. But 1,600 YouTube subscribers, they asked, "What are you two guys drinking in celebration?"
I am not drinking tonight. It's Mother's
wow.
Day, and I've been doing that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I know it's the Nightcap, but this was an impromptu Nightcap, so I didn't bring my drinks with me. But what I will do is I will bring a drink here this week when we have another Nightcap. We're gonna do more playback of these games. I think it's fun to do them, even if it's not Laker games, and we will continue to do those and entertain. We had a pretty good group that we're watching tonight, or today, I should say. and we'll continue that. And with that, I want to thank everyone for being on the show tonight, especially with the quick show that we had. Gerald, thank you for setting it up. Sean, thanks for showing up. I think we had a really, really good time. I know I did, despite the irritation and the of the same old questions. I think the crowd got what they wanted out of that, so everybody wins. With that, if you all want to comment, question, and not talking about my ass, please. This is a family show. If you want to talk about that kind of stuff, there's plenty of other sites.
That was Twitch, man. That's just somebody that wants
Twitch.
to
Twitch is the Kardashian of that world, like
platforms.
Platforms, yeah. It's high class, low class trash that just you know that hair that gets stuck in the shower underneath the little hole thing, little drain hole thing.
It's like the fuzz.
That's what that is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's what that is. It's not above. It's the bottom stuff. The stuff where you have to find it and pull it out. That's what that is. But with that, if you have any comments, any questions, please, of relevance. Okay, I'm a family man. I don't do that kind of garbage. Plus, I like women only.
He's a man's man.
Please hit me. Please hit me up on Joe Soro LFB on Twitter. If you want to hit me up on Instagram, I'm sinblades_turf. And if you want to hit me on Facebook, look for Johnny Blade with the Punisher logo. And of course, if you guys want to email us at LakersFastBreak.com, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com, you can do that as well. Gerald will screen the email. So if there's any really weird discussions, you'll just delete them and not even tell me, because that's what I want him to do.
Well, when it comes to that part, Gerald will redact certain aspects of it, but he'll give us the general gist of it.
Yeah, I could give you the
I don't need a day, Alan.
Twitch comments right now.
I don't need a day, Alan.
Get off the
air. They have become the lexicon of this last 20 years, and they don't seem to be going away. They are the epitome of disgusting to me. They are trashy. They are people that think because they got money and network that they're actually something. Folks, I have met more rich people who are scum than guys that are gangbanging. I have met more gangbangers that had more value than rich people with money. And that's not a lie.
Joe is saying he values the demeanor and attitude of someone, say, like Lexington Steele over the Kardashians.
I have seen, I'm telling you guys right now, there's nothing more despicable in terms of personality that I've met than rich yuppies. And then when you give them attention on top of that, all that like Hamptons type crowd that's like they are in the Calabasas area here. Calabasas is like the Hamptons of the West Coast, right? Those people, garbage. I spit on everything they value, because most of the time they value garbage. And garbage has more value than them, in my opinion. And that's not because I'm jealous of their money. I got money too. I might not have millions. I got money. I can buy whatever I want, okay? I can buy whatever I want. I'm not going to go buy an 80-foot yacht either. I can't afford an 80-foot yacht, but I'm never going to buy that even if I had the money. Point is, I can buy what I want, and what I want is usually pretty normal stuff. I can buy any pair of shoes I want, buy any shirts I want, buy any car I want. Point is, garbage, and there needs to be more of that coming out. The destruction of family values, the destruction of friendship, the worship of money and fame. That's what they epitomize, and most of those people are like that, them and around them. You like money, that's fine. But if it comes at the cost of morality and principle, you are trash. Trash, because you're sitting there yapping and whining about why all this stuff's going on in the world. That's why. If people didn't live for that, we wouldn't have these problems. But humans are greedy. Humans love attention. Go on Instagram, go on those places. You can see it every day, every minute of the day. And then they'll justify it because it's, well, I need to pay my rent. Well, I need to pay my mortgage. Okay, good. Looks like you didn't prepare. You're in your 50s, yet you're taking your clothes off now on OnlyFans because, I got to pay my rent. What happened to the other 30 years you've been working? You couldn't figure something out there where it had any class? You got kids. Okay? They're going to learn from this. You ruin the kids, you ruin society. and you're seeing it over and over again. That's my rant on that. Again, thank you for being here. We're going to be back later this week, likely probably on Tuesday. Don't concrete that right now because tomorrow is a busy day for me.
Well, tomorrow I'm going to be back with some.
Good for you. I will not. I have some family stuff that I got to attend to all day, and I won't be available, not even to speak probably. But until then, folks, thank you for being here tonight on the Lakers Nightcap. Until next time. See you next time.